Disney World is famous for its world-class attractions, but not every ride is a winner. Whether it's navigating what feels like a lawnmower convention, creepy dolls that can haunt your dreams, or a ride that's had guests needing therapy, it's clear that not all Disney magic hits the mark for everyone. Hi, I'm the Frugal Brit, and in this video, for a bit of fun, I'll be counting down the 10 worst rides at Walt Disney World as determined by TripAdvisor review scores, and I'll be giving my unfiltered thoughts on each ride along the way. To avoid a lot of repetition, I'll be excluding all the spinner rides. Before we get into it, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for more Disney World and Orlando insights. Kicking off the list at number 10, we have the Seas with Nemo and Friends in Epcot. So this ride was Disney's attempt to add Disney characters into the Living Seas Pavilion, which marked a shift from the original science and educational focus, as many feeling that it's lost some of the depth that the old Living Seas attractions offered. The result is a fairly uninspired makeover. Instead of exploring the ocean's vast history and possibilities, you're now met with a simplified Nemo story and reliance on screens, which for the most part doesn't do the best job of showing off the giant aquarium that the ride is built around. You do find that a lot of newer guests don't realise that it's an aquarium, which is the main highlight for the pavilion, the second largest saltwater tank in the US, I believe, said to be able to fit Spaceship Earth inside, which seems absolutely crazy to me. Overall, a pretty unambitious offering from Disney, deserving its place on this list. In 9th position, we have the Grand Fiesta Tour starring the 3 Caballeros, tucked away inside the Mexico Pavilion Pyramid, often overlooked or perhaps intentionally avoided. It's a gentle boat ride which takes you on a leisurely journey showcasing Mexico's culture, with Donald and fellow Caballeros leading the way. I suspect one reason it's landed on this list is because a significant portion involves superimposing Disney characters over videos of Mexicans, paired with some rather basic animatronics. It's been mockingly described as a Mexican It's a Small World, but I'll admit I have a soft spot for the ride. The beginning scene where you drift past the pyramid is enchanting, the end song is super catchy, and the fireworks effects towards the end work surprisingly well. Certainly not groundbreaking, but has its own charm. There has been some speculation about the ride being re-themed to Coco, which would make a lot of sense. However, the queue space I think would really struggle to handle a surge in visitors, and I doubt Disney is looking to draw crowds to this area of the park. At number 8, we have Magic Kingdom's Liberty Square Riverboat, which, for the time being, offers a leisurely cruise along the rivers of America, allowing guests to soak in the park's atmosphere from a unique vantage point. This has likely scored poorly due to its appeal being largely limited to nostalgia and its views of the surrounding areas. It does move very slowly without any excitement. There's also not much seating on board. Those who left negative reviews won't have to worry for much longer though, as Disney has recently shared concept art for its Cars-themed expansion of the area, which is set to be built over the rivers of America and Tom Sawyer Island. Without any water here, it seems safe to assume they'll be getting rid of the riverboat. Feels like an extremely bold move. The river tied this half of the park together perfectly, and it feels like we'll lose the sense of the wide open frontier. Can't say I'm on board, pardon the pun. But I do kind of see the rationale, as it occupies a ton of real estate without drawing in a lot of guests. It's a decision I'll begrudgingly accept, as long as they keep the original versions in Disneyland. Definitely marks the end of an era, but hopefully a worthwhile sacrifice long term, or preferably for me, hopefully we'll see a U-turn from Disney. Coming in at number 7 is It's a Small World located in Fantasyland, the gentle boat ride that's been a staple of the park ever since it first opened, one of the park's most iconic and enduring attractions. However, it is a ride that tends to divide guests. You either love it or hate it. As with many of the park's attractions, its appeal relies heavily on nostalgia. What was considered inspiring and groundbreaking in the early 60s might come off as a bit corny to today's youth. And at around 12 minutes, it's arguably way too long for this type of ride. Many guests also point to the fact that it isn't maintained as well as it could be, with animatronics often broken. When it comes to the music, whether you find the song to be contagious or annoyingly repetitive, and maybe a bit creepy, depends on your disposition. I'm a fan, but I'm aware of its shortcomings. I will say from experience that it's the least enjoyable ride to be broken down on, which will test any affection for it. Landing at number 6 is Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, the simulation ride inside Galaxy's Edge that promises the thrill of piloting the Millennium Falcon, or in most cases, the thrill of hitting flashing buttons inside the cockpit, which is precisely where the ride falls short for a lot of people. There's 6 roles on board, but only 2 of these get to pilot, and seems there was minimal effort put into making the experience fun for the gunners and engineers behind them. Despite being terrible pilots, my kids always insist on taking the helm. I can always feel the frustration breathing down my neck from other guests stuck with us. Now the ride is very cool in concept. For long-time Star Wars fans like myself, the opportunity to fly the Millennium Falcon is a dream come true. However, the quality of the ride is far too dependent on the role you get. I do think they should consider a system of randomising the roles to give single riders or groups of 2 a decent chance of piloting. Adding some alternative missions for variety wouldn't hurt either. One upside is it's the only ride where it's sort of acceptable to scream at strangers, so if you're looking to let off some steam, you might want to take advantage of that. Taking the 5th spot is the Barnstormer inside Magic Kingdom Storybook Circus, the junior coaster piloted by Goofy himself. This one's pretty straightforward. It's a kiddie coaster aimed at preschoolers or those looking to overcome a fear of coasters. A common complaint about the ride is that it's too short, slow and not exactly thrilling, but these are of course deliberate design choices given who the ride is aimed for. A more valid criticism as far as I'm concerned is its low ride capacity. It could also be a bit smoother. Taking the 4th position is the infamous Mission Space found in Epcot's World of Discovery, the spaceflight simulation ride that aims to give guests a taste of what it's like to be an astronaut on a mission to Mars. It's most infamous for its more popular and more intense orange mission, which puts riders in a centrifuge to simulate the intense G-forces of space travel. The reason why it's disliked by so many, including myself, is that it's the motion sickness final boss ride. If you're even remotely prone to nausea, this ride will find it. Given the tight space you're clamped into, it can also induce claustrophobia. Not exactly a fun combo for a theme park attraction. None of this is helped by the video animations looking very much out of date, and the story isn't particularly compelling, so very understandable to me why it's in this half of the list. If I were to offer some positives, I'd say that for those interested in what it feels like to be launched into space, I'm led to believe this is a legitimate NASA G-force trainer, so it's got that going for it. Disney probably also deserves a bit of credit for having the courage to build a theme park ride that can legitimately be described as a torture chamber. Securing the 3rd spot is Navi River Journey, another gentle boat ride, this one in Animal Kingdom's Pandora. It's a ride that I always enjoy, so I was surprised to see it in the top 3, but to be fair, it does commit the cardinal sin of having a very low capacity without offering much in the way of excitement. Wait times are over 40 minutes most of the day. It's almost completely devoid of animatronics, relying heavily on screens to create the environment, and a lack of narration or storyline doesn't help as well. Whilst it's true that the Shaman of Songs animatronic is arguably the best in the world, it's not enough for many guests. It does sort of feel like an animatronic meet and greet. But like I said, the atmosphere it creates is beautiful, but a ride that has a wait of more than 30 minutes needs a better wow factor. The 2nd worst ride is Magic Kingdom's Tomorrowland Speedway, the least surprising entry for me in this list, which offers little ones the chance to drive gas-powered miniature race cars that run along a central guardrail. As is often pointed out, there's nothing futuristic about a bunch of noisy go-karts belching exhaust fumes. Not exactly a treat for the senses. Can't imagine this being a dream assignment for the cast members. As for the driving experience, the steering doesn't really work, so any sense of control is illusory. You're also looping around a bland track with nothing interesting to look at. It's no wonder that people have been calling for a replacement attraction, or at the very least an electric car manufacturer to take over the sponsorship. The reasons why Disney might be dragging its feet are that preschoolers still love this ride. They love the independence of driving their own car, even if the steering wheel doesn't do much. The ride usually has short waits. It's also cheap to operate and maintain. Replacing an attraction of this size would be very expensive, and I don't think the incentive is there for Disney. Topping the list as TripAdvisor users' worst ride at Disney World is Journey into Imagination with Figment, the playful purple dragon who serves as the park's unofficial mascot. To understand why this ride gets so much hate, we need a quick history lesson. The original Journey into Imagination was hailed by many as one of the greatest dark rides ever conceived, but after the original sponsor pulled out, budget cuts led Disney to drastically overhaul the ride. The replacement was significantly smaller and shorter, with the beloved Imageworks interactive area on the 2nd floor shuttered, and a smaller, inferior version shoehorned into the removed portion of the old ride. In response to the outcry, Disney rolled out a 3rd iteration, this time bringing Figment back into the spotlight. Whilst a big improvement, the bar was set pretty low from the 2nd version and still fell short of recapturing the magic and wonder of the original. These days the ride feels a bit dated, especially the video portions that scream early noughties. But to give credit where credit is due, if the original never existed, perhaps we'd all view this ride differently. It's a cute and fun experience for the little ones, one of my kids' favourites, and I'll personally always appreciate a ride that you're pretty much guaranteed to stroll onto without queuing. So that's all 10 rides covered. Thanks for watching. Would love to hear what you guys think of the order in the comments. If you're planning a trip to Disney World soon, be sure to check out my other guide videos, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for future content. See you in the next video.